You this morning. Yeah, it's really, yeah, it's been, yeah, I think it's getting better and better because, yeah, virus vaccines, yeah, coming out and a lot of people are, yeah, get the vaccinations and kind of, last night I checked what is the coronavirus status and then, yeah, getting down, but some places are still, yeah, rising up. So I don't know. Yeah, I hope you all are well. So doing good and healthy, stay healthy. Today, um, from today, so maybe 3 weeks from for 3 weeks, we maybe try to practice a little with the basic principle of each the genres like narrative and poetry and parables and figurative and yeah we are not gonna go into deep in detail, but still we have a chance to little bit how can we approach and understand the text. So from today, we're gonna practice a little, during the class time. So maybe you can get some idea. So maybe I might use a computer for searching. So I'm gonna give you some really free website for Bible study. So you can use that one. So there is commentaries and concordance for the word studies, and then a lot of the other languages, and then you can use that one. And then I know, the commentaries are not the really based on the um, conservative. Yeah, it's been a long time around there, and then it's not a new one, but still it's really usable. And then it's really helpful to understand the text. So I don't know whether you guys knows. Yeah, um, look at this. Usually I use a lot. Nowadays, yeah. Usually I use the Bible study tools and Bible Gate, but when I try to find a word study, and then I know that this website, but this one is coming out and it help a lot. So I can see a lot of different things. Yeah, there is. Look at this, and Genesis first one, and then you can see multi, and then you can see a lot of different languages are popping out. So different versions and different languages, and then here is, I'm Korean, so this is a Korean is there, but a lot of different languages are popping up. So if you go with this, Lexion, and then they try to, this is English, Hebrew, and then this number is, if you click and then, goes to the word study, Strong's Concordance, and then, Strong's, and then origin, kind of where it's called, etymology, there is there. And look at this. See, that concordance, we can see that is a basic word, and then yeah, how they used and translation, and then rate sheet like this, and then yeah, there's a there is kind of, you can know the kind of original meaning of the word, and then you can see how the words are using in the Bible. So if you scroll down, and then you can see different concordance, brown drive bridges, and then there is a lot of different way that the meaning. So beginning of a kingdom and years, and then they use like this. This is Bible verses. There is used, and then like this, and there is another one is Hebrews and link is there. So really useful. So Bible Hub BibleHub.com, and maybe you can download the app, and but whenever you use, and then whenever you need, and you can go to kind of, yeah, you can find which book you wanna really do, and like today we're gonna do the Exodus, and then yeah, Exodus chapter 1, so you can see that one, right? And then Hebrews is there, original text is there, and then you can see how make a sound. That is a kind of strong, yeah, strong, yeah, concordance is there. So you can click it, and then you can see how the words are used in the context, right? So it's really helpful. So I hope you guys, yeah, remember this one, and then that one is there also. Yeah, that is a, yeah, internal linear. So yeah, you can see that one, and Hebrew is there, Lexicon is there, and then yeah, strong is there, and topical is there. So yeah, it's relate to the kind of, yeah, the topic, yeah, like here is there. So it's really helpful. So keep that in mind, and if you yeah, you don't have to buy. So a lot of free, yeah, apps are available. So maybe I think this is one of the good one though. One of the good ones. So commentaries is like this. How many commentary? One, two, three, yeah, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yeah, like this. Uh, so I hope, yeah, you can use it for yourself. So when you approach it like a narrative and kind of genres, we don't understand if we don't understand the original language like Hebrew and Greek, and it's hard, really hard to analyze the structure. Sometimes, but yeah, even though we don't know the Hebrew and yeah, Greek, but still we can use the, yeah, kind of, yeah, what is it, the English or your own language, and then try to see the kind of structure. But it's hard to get the, what is it, the metrics and lyrics, and but still there is kind of functional stuff, and then we can, yeah, we can see that one. So that is a limitation though. So if we don't know, and then yeah, it's hard. But narrative is not that matter. Yeah, not it doesn't matter with the narrative, but so poetry, it's really hard to, yeah, kind of understand the structure and how they wanna do. But still, yeah, by one of the translation versions, so we can see little. Yeah. Okay, let's go back. So I'm gonna give you a little basic understanding of narrative and poetry, and then we can try how to approach it, kind of, yeah. We can practice that one. Okay. What is a narrative? If, yeah, something is, yeah, it's like a story, right? It's like a story, and uh, kind of, yeah, told by, yeah, it was told by someone like this, and then look at this, yeah, a way of, yeah, presenting or understanding a situation or series of events that reflect and promote a, yeah, particular point of view or set of values. So it's not hard. So narrative means kind of based on the story, right? You can, yeah, you can think that way, and then in the Bible, it's like Pentateuch, like Genesis, yeah, Exodus and Numbers and Leviticus, and then Deuteronomy. That's yeah, based on the narrative and historical books, as First Samuel, Second Samuel, and First King and Second King, all kind of things. Yeah, the historical books, and then the books of the gospel and come back to, go to New Testament, and then, Matthew, Mark, Luke, right? John is based on the narrative. And still, Acts too. Acts is based on, the historical, book. So meaning is found in text as a whole rather than the isolated segment. Always we think about the word and then phrase and sentence and what? Paragraph and the whole book. So meaning is, we gotta kind of, sometimes one word has two meanings, and then which one, maybe sometimes it's a totally different meaning, but it's easy, but sometimes a little bit, similar, but a little bit different, but different nuances there. So we gotta, decide which one is, kind of, the author tried to intend in the context, right? By the context, we gotta, decide that one. Yeah. Should it be combined with the source and then redaction? Redaction means the kind of editing. So we are not the academical, so we don't have to go, we don't have to go deep. But still, if you want to really work like in academics and then scholarships, and then we gotta do that one. So always try to see why the people like it in this way and a lot of people think this way. So for example, and we're gonna study about also Exodus chapter 1 today, and then just think about the authorship. Traditionally, we believe that the Moses and wrote the book, but nowadays they try to understand the whole book, and here and there, and then there's a lot of voices out there. So we gotta know when is the kind of book is wrote, and just think about Moses is around the 1500 years ago BC, and then what a lot of people, some scholars believe that, and the books wrote later. So which one is better? But traditionally, I believe that Moses wrote the Exodus and Genesis, but maybe there is a lot of stories kind of passing down, and even though they don't they didn't write down the story, but still, the mouth to mouth they always like yeah the ancient story, and then they tell, and passing down to the next generation. Maybe he write down the story. Some story are not that detailed, so we didn't know what it's just mentioned. So why? Sometimes I don't know, but sometimes it's not that important, and the author didn't go to detail. But sometimes I don't know. So a lot of stories is going on, but still we cannot see the detail. But one theme is we can see about in the Bible. So we gotta know that one. So and even though it's not the stories, it's not the detail enough, but still try to give you a message. Just think about it, right? When you talk to, when we talk to between you and I, and then just think about something is happened, maybe we can talk and write down everything in details of how many pages, right? But sometimes already something is going on, so we don't have to talk about the information that knows each other. But sometimes we just assume that part, and then we understand each other, and then we skip that part, and then talk to really bit summary stuff, right? And just think about it. Sometimes regard the biblical narrative as art or poetry, and sometimes not exactly like nowadays literature, and then some form of the Bible says like poetry, right? In the there is a kind of form is there, right? In the whole book, like some make a song, song is inside the narrative books, and then that is poetry. So yeah, uh, you gotta notice everything's yeah. Even though we say that yeah, Pentateuch and Deuteronomy is based on what is the narrative, but still there is a lot of different things there, right? And songs is there, and law is there. So different form is there, but yeah, we gotta remember that one. So poetic, which studies the artistic dimension or the way the text is constructed by author and meaning, which we created, right? So um, we gotta just know that one. Sometimes there is kind of what is up. It's not a when you hear the story, and then sometimes a lot of people they don't deliver the story as they heard, right? Sometimes they little bit under yeah, interpret in their position and what they deliver the stories. That's why it's easy to twist the original story. But it's not yeah. Just think about it a lot of times, and then when they try to express and little bit yeah, recreate yeah. Just think about narratives here, but poetry is here, and the poetry you cannot project the narrative to the yeah what exact way to the poetry, right? But that's why they little bit change a different way and then recreate it and project it because the style is different, genre, yeah. But we gotta know that, but yeah, sometimes we if you don't understand the what's the intention of the authors and the what, we gonna misunderstand because of the genre, right? Just think about it, same things, but yeah, yeah. Do you know who I am, right? I'm standing and look at this, my height and my face and my frame. But I can change clothes every day, right? Different clothes. But my personality, my character doesn't affected by my clothes, right? Maybe if I wear like a really bright colors, yeah, clothing, and maybe I act out a little bit differently, but still same, right? The nature doesn't change, but the meaning, what I do, yeah, the meaning doesn't change, but what is a presentation may be different. So we gotta, that's the, yeah, remember that, yeah, we can understand the poetry in different way. So principles of interpretation of yeah, narrative, uh, just when you think about who is the author, right? What is the who is the author? Sometimes, yeah, who is a narrator or implied? It's maybe this one or maybe that one, right? What is the historical setting? What is the cultural setting, right? So, what is the point of view of the author through his book? What is the plot? Nowadays, if you approached by um, the narrative like a novel, there is a plot is there, and kind of a problem is there, and develop and cultivate and resolve, yeah, kind of a resolve and go to next like this. It's a plot is there, right? What about the characters? And there is always a protagonist and then yeah, anti-protagonist there, right? Protagonist is always a God, but sometimes what? Like originally says yeah, yeah, in the Bible, the protagonist is kind of a God. He's the main character, but God used people like Moses, But in the scene is what? Who is the main character? Moses. But still, behind Moses, God is there, so we believe that God is the what? The main character in the Bible, protagonist, right? So we gotta know the setting. Uh, Narratives, I don't know, it depends on the if you are a good writer, and then just think about how can I organize this story and deliver the people. But I'm not that good writer, but just think about it and interesting and kind of moved people's heart, right? In the way. Kind of yeah. There's a lot of different ways. That's why when you study the different sources, we gotta know that, right? Which one is real, which one is kind of really exaggerated, and then which one is really based on the truth. So depends on the author is different, right? When you read the Bible, what is a gospel? The Gospel of Luke is what? What is their as an audience is about recipients are who or the Gentiles. But when you read the verse of the Matthew, it's what the audience is what Jews. That's why they they explain the gospel in different way. So Matthew starts with what genealogy of the Israel, but Luke, they don't start with that. It's always they use a different language, and they use a lot of think about who are the Jews. Then was a exile Jew or Jew. This one is a Gentiles who don't know the Jesus Christ, right? That's why it's a little bit different approach. Yeah, we're gonna know the kind of settings but let's see. So usually, when I teach how to study the Bible, so for narrative, I usually told them you use what's 5W and 1H. So it will really help if you understand the whole thing. So, who is there? What happened? What happened? So why? How's going on? Yeah, all kind of stuff. Where? And if you kind of answer these kind of your questions, and then it is really helpful to understand the whole paragraph of the story and the whole chapter of the story. So sometimes if you don't pay attention, this approach helps you kind of understand the structure, right? And who is the kind of main characters? And then why? What happened? All kind of stuff, and then just remember that what happened, by who, whom, who, why, when, where, how. And then sometimes if you get this one and then answer is there, what happened, right? But if you don't have, if you cannot answer the question, it's kind of we may be jumbling around the text. So narrative still, we gotta know the kind of how the structure is kind of we already learned about the what's a complex and dependent and simple large and small structures there, right? But sometimes narrative they have a plot. Okay, because if you are a good storyteller, I told you, right? If you are a good writer, and here's a story. How can you present this story to others in your story or in your writing, right? So good storyteller is kind of lot of attention from audience, and then what messages you deliver clearly what the messages, right? Good writer too. So we gotta know the kind of structure, right? How story is going on, and then there's any Sometimes it's a long structure of a sentence. It's hard, but still we need to know. So and big structure of the story, plot of the stories, and then what. And you can go detail in how they express each paragraph and each sentence like this. That one is kind of uh, it's helpful to understand the whole and there is techniques and repetition, and then symbols, ironies, and other things is there. So you can see the one why they repeat, and any they use any technique that kind of that was popular at the time. And redactional analysis. I already a little bit told you, but I can skip this one. Exegetical analysis, and then you gotta study word. You gotta study what's the background. You gotta study historical and cultural background. We gotta know the grammars, and we gotta know what all kind of stuff, and kind of a genre, the characteristic of the books, right? So we gotta know that, and just but theological analysis, um, there is kind of always we believe that there's a big things there. We told that after the fall, the Adam and Eve against God, and they failed to obey God's word, and then they kind of from that time we call the fall, and from that time, and then what kind of they expelled from the garden, and kind of the relationship is between relationship between God and human beings got disconnected. That from the time God planned to how can restore reconnected the relationship with the human being. That is the whole main thing in the Bible. We believe that one. So we gotta remember that, and sometimes that's the basic thing, and then but each paragraph, each book has their own things. How the story, how they wanna evolve this thing, right? And then for just in case, and Exodus is kind of what as God told what people are you gonna be foreigners for 100 years, and then already told Abraham, right? And then they lived for 100 years in Egypt, and then the time is came up, and what they was really bad situation, and what and God planned them to deliver them from the operation of the Egyptians operation, right? And there's a story about the Exodus. And we're gonna see what kind of in the beginning, kind of what happened. And then go to another, if you see, and then other chapter in the was Moses coming up, and then how story coming out, and then see that the whole story is about and deliverance from the Egypt, and how to live as God's people. That's the commandment. It's a lot of laws given to the Israel people, right? So theological analysis is really important. So even though there was different genres, but still there is what? The one theme, right? That's why each paragraph it's hard to understand, and then you gotta it's hard to understand this thing, and you gotta see the whole the paragraph and the whole chapter and the whole book and whole Bible like this. So yeah, major thing is always connected to others, and then uh, we can we can evaluate which my thoughts is right, my interpretation right, or what. We gotta study a little bit more. So this is really important thing. So sometimes you don't understand this one, but through the other Bible you can understand this one. Yeah, like last week I already showed, right? And what is it? Yeah, love, yeah, kind of, yeah, what is it? You hate your family, brother and sister. It's not that mean, that one, right? You literally, maybe, yeah, literally, if you really focus on the literal understanding in the what? Literal understanding in the, oh, I gotta hate my brothers and then I have to abandon them and follow Jesus Christ. That's a literal understanding, but Bible doesn't say that. But another verse is, and then it's not that one. When you follow Jesus Christ, what priority in your life is always set there, God. You don't have to hate your brothers, your families. So always like that. And then if you can understand and little bit, expand more and expand more. It's a whole book. It's a Bible, right? From the Bible, you can understand what it's about. Yeah, contextualization, I don't have to say it anymore. So always, yeah. Yeah, nowadays it's kind of, yeah, narrative is really, storytelling is really important, yeah, kind of popular for missions and preachings because we are really educated by Western way, right? Always kind of an introduction, one, two, three, and kind of main themes, and that's all, and present by a logical way. That's our education. But when you go to other countries, and then yeah, the what is a Western education is not effective all the time. They don't understand, right? And they don't have letters. They don't have any written language, but they already have oral languages. How can we share the gospel with them? Only way they kind of tell them stories, right? Yeah, a lot of people kind of, yeah, our culture kind of, yeah, Eastern Asian as well. Usually it's not that logical like Western style, but when I look up to the all the way up and we based on the what, storytelling culture. So nowadays, yeah, you could see some, yeah, yeah, sermons. It's really kind of they try to tell a story, but there is something, and after that, and then try to explain. But yeah, always, yeah, people are doing. Not people are doing, but someone is really, yeah, good at, yeah, tell, yeah, good at storytelling, and maybe they could do it, but like me, I cannot do it. Yeah, whatever way to preach the gospel, right? Okay, let's let's try to kind of basic idea how we understand the narrative and Exodus chapter 1. And Exodus is kind of there is a chapters 40 chapters, and then I got some from the other books, and then what is Israel and Egypt, and kind of the situation, how they got suffered, and how they are preparing to coming out of Egypt, and then that is kind of, chapter 1 through 16, 13 is about the kind of Israelites in Egypt. But 13, 17 to 18, 27, it's like they got out of the Egypt. The Moses was leading the Israel, the people, and then they are what? Wondering is how many years? 40 years. 40 years. So first generation who was coming out and all died in the wilderness. And then second generation who born in the what? In the wilderness, and then they going into the promised land, right? Canaan. And the 19 to 40 is a kind of a God gave them the laws. So how kind of how to kind of how to maintain the kind of religious system, is how to maintain the social system, right? All laws is kind of given by God. 10 commandments, and then later, and then God gave them the specific, the laws. So there is kind of we consider kind of the peoples in Israel and in Egypt, and then they delivered, but they still struggled in the wilderness. But God told them how to live as a God's people. How can live as a God's community, right? As a God's community. So that is the basic idea about the Exodus. Keep that in, that is so. There is kind of, the chapter 1. So when you read, when you study the Bible, Exodus the Bible, and try to read as much as you can, maybe 10 times and 20 times, and until whole story is kind of in your head, comes to whole story comes to your head, and just read and over, okay? And then you're not gonna get any specific things. Oh, this is about. You're not gonna do that. So read the whole story and kind of story, kind of and you gotta understand the geographies, and then you gotta understand the main characters. Why you can, and then you can see where, what happened, why, all together, right? So maybe depends on your abilities, but I try to do that in other countries, and really, they are really poorly educated, and usually I tried and let them read around 5 times, and then one paragraph, so 5 times, and kind of they know, So if you're not really study thoroughly, if you're not really study Bible thoroughly, and then you can read as much as many as you can do it, right? Maybe 20 times, like Exodus chapter 1. So you gotta read in first time, you don't know much, and the second time and third time, and stories coming up, and then you have a lot of questions in your mind. Oh, what is this? What is this? And if you just read once and twice and 3 times, maybe you don't know, right? You're not gonna get much insight that the authors try to say. But sometimes, and when you read the commentaries, and then English commentaries, and then sometimes, I mean, English Bible sometimes is different from the original, so like this, and then Exodus chapter 1 start with what? End in Hebrew Bible. But English Bible, I try to see in English Standard, American Standard, and then there is no end. Usually a lot of they skip, kind of erase the end. just think about it and the meaning, right? That's a really important thing. So just think about it. You start a new book. When you write a new book and then suddenly end, you can start, can you start with the end? Kind of continue, you continue to do something, right? That's why in the Hebrews mind, and then when they started Exodus is kind of extension of the what? Genesis, they try to put together, right? And then they kind of, a lot of your Bible, because we talk, they know the whole, the stuff, and then he is like that. These are the names of the sons of Israel, and then it's kind of repeated in the Genesis chapter 48, and then maybe we don't have to take away this one, and then they maybe erase the end, omit the end, but still, if there is priest there, don't, if we don't kind of omit the end, it's more clear, right? So that's why we needed to kind of see the different, even though we don't know the original language. I already showed, right? And click in there is, you can see that one, even though you cannot pronounce and you don't know what it wants, what it means, but you know the English, right? And then English is there, and then you can see that one, right? So, and is there, and then yeah, and keep going on about summarize how people were in Egypt, and just think about, and Jacob bring about 70 peoples, and then they multiplied, and then what? And yeah, multiplied, and and people is really multiply, increase a lot of people, right? Great big community. They made a kind of big community there, right? That's why. And look at the verse 7. The people of Israel were fruitful and increased greatly. They multiplied and grew exceedingly strong, like this. And then, now, there is arose a new king over Egypt, and the story is a little bit changed, right? Can you see that? And then you can see 여기서 click there. One paragraph is there. Different paragraphs start here, but I put together because I want you to know that just even though the people are kind of divided their paragraphs, but just even though the paragraph that divided by people, but just remember, just I want you to practice how you can divide the paragraphs like this, and then all the way down is about, and they are really had a hard time, and more work and oppressions, and then life is getting harder and harder and easy, right? Like this. Look at 13, look at this. So they ruthlessly made the people of Israel work as a slave, and made their life bitter with the hard service in mortar and the bricks, and all kind of work in the field, right? Their life is kind of miserable, right? Do you know why they say make life miserable? Look at this. So Joseph was a really great guy, and he got a lot of credit from the Pharaoh, one of the Egypt king, and then what? But they don't even. The new king came, and then kind of time passed by, and then what? The new king didn't know about the contribution of the what? Joseph, right? And then just think about Israel people are getting growing, and it seems like they are they are overwhelmed by them, right? Oh, eventually they're gonna take over our country. They are really feared. That's why they kind of try to decrease, and then try to oppress the people, not to get increased, right? and like this. And then verse 15, and you can see, then the king of there is kind of another work that the king tried to suppress the Israel people not to fruitful and multiply, but it didn't work. And then then the king of Egypt said the Hebrew midwife, and then there's another strategy to suppress the Israel. Okay, he told them, okay, when you go and then try to, what's the first place, and then he said that if it's a boy, just kill it. If a girl, just, let them survive. Why? And then try to, the king, try to kind of block eradicate the reproduction, right? And then there was the Hebrew midwife. There was midwife who helps the delivery, baby birth delivery, and then what? He told the Hebrew kind of the midwife, and then midwife kind of feared God and they cannot do it. And then the king knows that the happened and another kind of a flood is coming out. What is that one? Okay, I'm gonna kill on the two was the boys who was under 2 years old, right? That is about that. Yeah, that is that one. Kind of, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a two-way. No. I really missed my stories, and then that is kind of your story though. Don't go to the last part, and they don't kill it on the two, and then that was late, and then they said, well, Pharaoh commanded all his people, and every son is born to the Hebrews, you shall cast into the Nile, and you shall let every girl alive, right? Yeah. Try to, this one is the first time, and you shall kill. Boy, if you get a boy and kill, but girl is alive. But kind of this one is kind of messed up, and the second, story. Just think about it, how people kind of suppressed in so by labor and birth control, and then what? Okay, you cannot kill it, and then what? Let them throw them into the Nile, what's the Nile River. Kind of you consider the setting, right? And then just think about stories kind of new, and but you should try to what, and it's kind of there is a new stories, and but this continuation is there, but still they try to make a connection and try to make a connection, and but there is a discontinuation that they got. How blessed, right? And they increase and multiplied, but new king who doesn't know the Joseph, right? Rose, and then there is kind of discontinuation in their life. But you can see that one, the lot of people are multiplied and right, multiplied and fruitful in kind of the setting, how they are really dominate in the countries, and then but they try to suppress the dominance and the what in population, and then they do hard labor, and then try to kill the boys, and then it didn't work. It doesn't work, and then what? Throw the boys into the Nile River, right? If you don't kill them, and then in that kind of think about the whole setting, right? If you see this chapter and then just think about the it's a narrative, and then if you see the whole picture and then what it's about, it's kind of will start. What is the problem start, right? What's the problem start? And then just think about the story time, and we can get a kind of a clue about what time is about. And they say new king already through with the genealogy, and they explain how they kind of multiplied and propelled and increase in numbers, right? And then but we don't know the timeline by then, but there is a kind of a new king came up, and this one give us kind of historical kind of background, when the background of the time period, and then yeah, you can see, and then get this one. You can Google it, maybe the dynasty of Egypt, or you can see biblical time period, anything. So nowadays, if you Google it like this, and then you can get a lot of information here and there, and but sometimes information is a little bit different. So you gotta get the right information. So usually I see the kind of academic background of the author, and then a little bit there's kind of a conflict in information, and then I can see I try to follow the majority who said, right? And then there is a kind of story time period. It's about Joseph's kind of a lot of scholars say the dynasty of Hyksos, and around the 13th to 17th dynasty. I don't know though before, but they say, yeah, 14th, 15th dynasty, and 16th dynasty, and 17th dynasty. So Joseph's period like this one of period, maybe a 14, around there. Just think about, and then the pharaohs like this here, the new king who kind of and oppressed the Israelite, and like around 18 dynasty, 18th dynasty. But just think about it, 2, 3 dynasties passed by, and then maybe they don't know, and then sometimes kind of the power totally changed, and then regardless of how you contribute, and they don't remember, right? Yeah, there is a different dynasty, right? And a lot of people say that, and this time period about 18th dynasty. So how they got suffered by the people, by the Egyptian, and then after that, through this kind of suppression and oppression, and then what? Exodus is coming out is kind of another dynasty. It's like a 19th dynasty and 20th dynasty, like this. 19th usually, based on the historical resources. So Moses kind of Moses fled from Egypt, the palace of Egypt, and the what? Pharaoh's palace, and then he spent about 40 years in the other place. And this kind of the dynasties changed. That's why Moses came back to Israel, and then that is a kind of what? Around the 20th year, 19th dynasty. Usually people, scholars said it. Even though it's kind of one chapter, it's a lot of time differences there, right? That's why we gotta study. Oh, this Bible said usually Pharaoh, the king of Egypt is a Pharaoh. Everything is a Pharaoh, And when you read the Gospels, and then everyone is a Herod, but that's a kind of last name. It's not a first name. So we gotta know the which pharaoh, which period he ruled, in which period different pharaohs, right? That's historical stuff. What about the story structure? I already told you, right? And from the one to seven is kind of a genealogy and how they multiplied and increased in numbers, and then what 8 to 14, and the was Egyptian is really feared and overwhelmed by multiplication of Israel, and then what they try to oppress the people, right? Oppress the people, right? They oppress the people not to increase, not to get dominated in population. And 15 to 22, and then they have a plus, right? To kill eradicate the Israel and get no more reproduction, right? And then try to kill the boys, and then they cannot do it, and once a midwife cannot do it, and you cannot do it, and then what? You don't have to kill them, but throw them into what? Nile River, right? But girls, let them be survived, right? That's kind of a story structure. Maybe there is a whole story, but if you see the whole, what is uh, the story, this is kind of something happened. Just problem is kind of coming out, but it's not developed yet, right? One of the themes is what? Deliverance of the what? His people from Egypt operation. That's a theme. Another thing is in Exodus is how to live as God's people, right? Two things there. One thing is this one. This is the problem start, getting developed, but not that much, right? Okay, what about the word study we need to do? Can you see a lot of hard words that you never see? Not that much, because this is a narrative. It's not a much language that you don't know. But just think about the word the Hebrew. Why they called the Israelites Hebrew people? The Hebrew means is kind of from the Abraham. Abraham kind of moved to all the way this area, and then people called Abraham as a Hebrew. Hebrew original meaning is kind of the other side, cross the side, and kind of meaning. So maybe Hebrew means the Abraham is coming from a different side of the region. That's why I called Abraham Hebrew. Yeah, a lot of people mentioned that one. Another said that Hebrew mean is that it's not a good connotation around the time. Just think about wandering, coming from the other area, and then it's like it's not a good word. But still, this one is kind of their identity of later on kind of their identity, and they developed their own cultures, right? So you couldn't study about Hebrew, right? It's not a language, and then how they got called Hebrew, from when, why. That's a word study there, that's I got the information there, and from the kind of how they called Hebrew. But now times, and then I cannot see the deeper, but the resource that I have and I found, and I don't get the different meaning of the Hebrew, right? So try to study like that. And if you are really kind of need to understand, and then just to find it, and just go and try to see the original meaning and try to see how they used the meaning, why. Try to see the context, right? Yeah, this is a Hebrew midwife, and then it's not a it's not the Egyptian midwife, especially, right? They kind of separate midwife who help to have deliverance of a baby, baby delivery, but yeah, baby delivery, and then what? There is I don't know the jobs, the midwife jobs, but maybe the Egyptian, you consider kind of cultural context though. There is, yeah, maybe I mentioned it. Let's see. Yeah. So I already told you when you study in narrative, who, when, where, what, why, how. If you just think about who is there, and then Israelite and Egyptian is there, and when around 18 dynasties around yes, yeah, 16, 1600 around that time, 1500 around that time, right? Where in Egypt, and what happened? So Israelites multiplied, and then and getting numbers, and the people are really overwhelmed, right? That's why they oppress the people. How? Try to kill the baby and throw the baby into the boys into the Nile River, and they try to give them hard work to try to kind of prevent the Israelites from getting reproducing more and more, right? Increasing populations. So what is a keyword in the when you read the whole verses, it may be multiply and increase and kind of same meaning, right? Like this. And even though they are kind of trying to do that and try to kill and kind of block block the people yeah to reproduce more and more, and what people are getting still Israelite multiplied and grow very strong. That is just think about whole situation, right? That is a kind of by try to project his idea. Oh, just think about Israelite, but it was it, yeah, it didn't work. Yeah, it didn't. Yeah, the kind of they grew strong and then multiplied. Yeah, doesn't work in positive way for Israelites, right? That's kind of the story's start. So just think about historical understanding required and new king. I researched a little bit and then who's there and then who could and from the new king and who could if you research and then wow who could the timeline around, right? And then but there is kind of they built pharaoh store cities like Pithom and Ramses. Yeah, you can see that one, how scholars do it, how archaeologists do, how Egyptian historians do, and you can see that one. That is a historical understanding, and then you can see timeline, right? What about the cultural understanding? There is one verse is there because the Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before the midwife comes to them. But I don't know the words. Hebrew women kind of the midwife, right? They said Hebrew midwife. I don't know the job is available. The midwife job is available for the Egyptian, but It means that what the Hebrew midwife work for the Egyptian and what? Who? And Hebrew, Israelite. They work both people and then they compare and kind of make an excuse that, oh, they are stronger than the Egyptian. And physically, maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of, there's a kind of a cultural, stuff in kind of, reflect us, right? But it's not that important. Maybe it's not that important, but we'll consider kind of what, kind of a background there, right? Maybe theological understanding is there. What? End. So Hebrew Bible has end, but our English Bible doesn't have end, right? So we gotta know the even though we are not, we don't know the Hebrew and we don't know the Greek, and try to see how different, and then, yeah, that's kind of a continuation is there, and genealogy is there, right? And that is a kind of a thing, and theological understanding, and we need to know. And maybe you can dig out more, and yeah, this is about narrative. Yeah, I give a kind of introduction how we need to study, and with Exodus chapter 1. So when you study the Bible, you gotta see a lot of different, but try to digest the content, and then try to think about and question a lot, and then you can get more and more understanding. If you don't question, you're not gonna get much. Oh yeah, that's all. So what? But if you have a lot of questions, and then you can dig out and read, and I know a lot of time, but still you're gonna learn and a lot, and you're gonna kind of close to close to understanding the was a text that author tried to tell. Any questions? Maybe online class, and it's hard to do question, but yeah, if you have any question, just let me know. I try to answer to you, and if I don't, maybe I need time to research, right? So just let me know if you have any questions, and then yeah, that's one of the way that the narrative study. So when I was in college, and when I did in college ministry, and in Korea, so I did a lot of study like this with my student. So it's really, it's a lot of time needed, but still we can understand the Bible better. Just rely on preaching and rely on just a word, but we try to see. Kind of we call the inductive Bible. So our all pre-knowledge is let down, and try to see what Bible says, right? And then try to put together and study and questioning, and look up the dictionaries, and look up the other books, and then try to put together. That's a learning process, right? Okay, let's go to poetry. Uh, it's like a more express different, express their feeling and ideas and emotion. Yeah, this is a poetry is a way to cross the genres to use delivering the message, right? There's kind of certain form is there. So like metrics and lyrics is there, right? And like this. I have some YouTube. There was a structure is really. I think so. You gotta know. You gotta see that one. But the poem is like it is kind of poem level is like this. And whole is a line levels and couplet levels, like one line and two lines, a couplet level is a whole, we call this what? Stanza is a level, is a, oh yeah, we call it like this. It's kind of a basic language, and then poem is we call whole thing is a poem, right? Line, couplet, and then stanza. Just think about line level. Line level is like just single line of biblical poetry is one line. It's called stitch, might or might not be complete sentence, right? Maybe usually they use three, four. So one of the characteristics of the what is the poetry in Bible, they don't use a lot of words, right? You get terseness, and then they use three, four words, and they try to express. Not that many words, but if you read in English, in kind of you gotta do a lot of kind of if they condensed like a few words, and it's hard for us to understand because sometimes they erase uh, subject and verb and other stuff, and then so that's why it's hard for foreigners. So there's a line level. So there is there is not complete sentence, but there is usually used a second sentence by the second sentence use the semicolon and they complete the sentence, right? But they don't go up to the third line. But usually there is a first line, and then usually they use a lot of semicolons and then explain more and extend more, right? That's a line. And couplet level is the basic kind of building blocks of a Hebrew poetry. Is a couplet. It's just called distich or the bicolon, right? Kind of consists of two continuous lines related to each other by the form and by content. Like this, I already told you. They use a semicolon and then write a sentence and then another sentence and like this. And we can, last time and let's see. Let's go over this one and then look at this. And then the poetic analysis designate the two lines of the couplet A line and B line, right? Kind of A line, this one is A line and B line is a couplet, right? From the fundamental feature of Hebrew poetry is parallelism. Parallelism, and then we can talk about little later, and then the matching structure of the line with the couplet. And I think so we did, and if you read Psalm 1, I can show you. And then there's a stanza, and then stanza is sometimes called strophe. It's a group of the couplets together, like 1, 2, 3, and continuous sense of unity within the poem, like this, right? Stanza can be recognized by figure of a poem as well as content. Figure or content. So transition from the one stanza to the next may be marked by such a thing as the change in speakers or address, and then basically when you understand the poem in the Bible, so remember the line and couplet and what? There's a whole paragraph is a stanza, and then they change by the what's figures or what something different things, and then and whole thing is we call the poem. So when they use the poem, so one of three characteristics in Hebrew, the biblical poems. One is kind of it's terseness, like sentences. They don't use a lot of languages, right? They spare the language, the word, and then three-fourths word, and then they keep going and going, and then but the line together is a couplet, right? They kind of try to express the idea, and in their way, usually there is kind of sometimes there is kind of parallelized two things, and then whole thing and stanza is kind of give you kind of one of your main idea. Let me see. Like this, right? And can you see that? Like this, and then usually ungodly are not so, and then what? Colon is there, but they are like a trap which the wind driven away. And look at this, and saying, so therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. And then, let's see, I'm going to show you the whole things. Look at this. There is a parallelism here. Therefore, the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in congregation of the righteous. Semicolon is here in the what? For the Lord knows the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked is perish, right? There's a parallelism here. Like this. And there is a parallelism here. I'll get it too. And blessed, the man who walks in, and semicolon is here and here. In English, right? So, one of that's why it's kind of easy to translate in English, but still, when you try to translate in English, and then a lot of words are there, but originally not they don't use much, and but one of the characteristics is what? The imagery. The Hebrew poets use a lot of imagery, right? Just think about here what they use in chapter 1, Psalm 1. They use a tree, right? Tree is here. He is like a tree planted by a stream of water. And just can you see imagery? But we could like a check. So another image is king, right? That's one of the kind of a characteristic in poem in the Bible, right? So that's the one of the characteristic, and then I close it. Let's go. So, I hope you basic kind of structure of the poem in the Bible, right? To understand how the Hebrew poetry functions. So it's a metrical patterns, yeah. But like nowadays, a poem or poetry, and there is no metrical like exact same, right? But there is kind of even there is no really kind of patterns, but still there is their own way, like this, right? Parallelism, and then they try to do that, and then helps the reader to gain some fear on Hebrew poetry. So we gotta kind of structure by stress of syllabus count. Yeah, but we don't. Yeah, English is kind of when you see the English Bible, so it's hard to see that one. So meaning during the more by the whole in the part, right? Not that just one line, one twelve, but you gotta see the whole things. And parallelism, I already showed you, right? And sometimes, like last time I told you, and was the one uh, walk, stand, sit. Like this. Some person, someone, and then person one, two, and daily sit. Also, we don't, blessed man now walk with his wicked. What? Stand, not stand away, and not sitting. It's kind of they developed a little bit ideas, kind of and increase the intensity. Yeah, yeah. I already told you, and then poetic language and imagery, and then they use a lot of imageries, and then figurative imagery. We're gonna start it next week. What is about figurative expression? What is imagery? Like that one is a tree. So like we consider what is the differences there. But have that one. Yeah, so types of poetry in the Bible, and then I already told you sometimes in narrative books, but still there is kind of poetry still, like expressed in song, yeah, like songs, and then word song. If you have a victory and after what crossed over the rest of the night, rest of Red Sea, and Moses and people made a song, and they sang, right? Made a song and sang. And love song, the song of songs, so the song of songs in the after Psalm, and we consider there is a poetry and lament, and hymns and praise song and thanksgiving hymns and songs of celebration and affliction, and then wisdom and then psalms, and it's like so if you there is kind of poetry section is proverbs, psalms, and ecclesiastics, and then jobs, and yeah, and the song of songs, and there is kind of sections of wisdom and poetry, right? And when you read, and then we can see, and so sporadically we can see that in the book, but the main books are the main poetry and wisdom books are there. So we can see, yeah, I know when you try to understand and try to kind of build, when you read and kind of build, have a kind of feeling that you read the poetry and other stuff, right? Reason. If you read like narrative, it is so hard to get feel, right? Get feeling. It is so hard to get felt, and you get the author's feeling. Yeah, there is a kind of some principle that when you study the studying for the biblical poetry, and there is there is the strophic stanza pattern of the poem and rhythm. It is like, what is that one? You know the Amazing Grace song? It's kind of all this kind of notices, kind of set about this kind of lyrics and different and repeat and so and lyrics is kind of changeable, but what is the notice say like this? Kind of strophic stanza means like this, right? And then there is the same, but kind of song is notice the same, but still Amazing Grace like 5 or 6 different readings and keep repeating and repeating, right? There is kind of a pattern is there. And then group the parallel lines. So when you like kind of analyze and then just think about sometimes cause and effect not all the time, but still parallel is there, so you can compare, right? Grouping and what they are comparing. Yeah. Study about metaphorical language, like like the Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. What is a metaphorical language? The shepherd. Lord is my shepherd. Try to understand the historical background, especially when you study Psalm, and then it gives you understand more. Sometimes if you don't have any background, it's not easy though. It's not easy to to understand the original meaning. And look at this. Study the Psalm in the terms of its types and basic stance, right? It's not just like other narrative, other stuff, but you can see it and then study messianic psalm in some historical purpose, and sometimes the messianic meanings that it contained about the Messiah, right? Relate about Messiah, and then and later on Jesus Christ or his disciples and kind of cited, and sometimes kind of in the Bible it's kind of a coherent core idea about connected together, and then that one is Psalm is there like this, and then you gotta know that the historical purpose, right? Look at this. Psalm is a whole, not drawing the people are drawing the conclusion, and then you can see a whole structure, right? And some structures are easy, some structures are really, really hard. And the New Testament poetry must be studied on 2 levels. One is the original theological meaning and the use of the creed or hymns in the individual context, right? And there's a New Testament is a little bit different, so but always think about in theological and based on the what. That is you gotta keep that in mind, and so parallelism. So it's really important in Hebrew poetry. So sometimes they use the different language and phrase and and ideas, and you really try to see that, and then what is the idea try to emphasize through this, right? Always the techniques and metaphor, and then the parallelism is kind of a technique to deal with the idea, right? Main idea. It's not just a decorative, right? You gotta know that one. There is a way that you can emphasize. Okay, try to analyze your study about the Psalm 23. if you go to church and maybe you are really familiar, but look at this and this one. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall, there is a semicolon is there, I shall not want, right? This is a line. He makes me lie down in the green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. Do you know that the green pastures come immediately is there? He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, and you comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me in the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Yeah, we can see kind of there is kind of and semicolon is there, and then not that much parallelism here, right? But look at this, and one kind of couplets, and then here tables and anoint my head with oil in my cups, and then kind of make more and yeah develop, and then just think about it. How can you understand this structure? There is kind of is that the Lord in my shirt, you can kind of condense it a little bit, changes it, right? So 1, 2, 3 is like, yeah, depends on how they analyze and then just think about. And then the Lord is my shepherd is kind of one of the big thing. And then why? And then he used a kind of basic imagery and then how he's gonna do, right? And then even though like this, and then look at the 5, 6, and then they totally change though, right? 6. I'm gonna introduce some analysis that made by the people, scholars, and then look at this. Chiastic structures, A, 1, 2, 3, 4, and cultivate, and 4, 3, 2, 4 dash, 3 dash, 2 dash, 1 dash is kind of a structure, goes all the way and cultivate and this way. But one, I found one really interesting, but its focus is a little bit different, but look at this, look at this. And then this is a central axis idea for his namesake, right? And then go this way, all the way this way, and then try to match this one. And then so the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be want, and surely goodness and mercy will follow me. That's why I shall not want. All the days in my life I shall dwell in the house of the Lord. And nothing lacks, and then what? I am enough, like this. And then, but his kind of idea is about what? This psalm is about his namesake, for his glory. It's not for us, it's not for God. There is a kind of central idea about his analysis. Chiastic structure. By chiastic structure, right? Really interesting though. So try to match this one and this one, and this one and this one, and this one and this one, and this one and this one and this. This one is the main idea about this sound. But a little bit off, but people really about the Psalm 23 is about protection and provision. Provision and but that's one of the structures. People who try to analyze with the chiastic structure, right? It's interesting. Look at this one. Greg Hendricks, and then he has PhD and he's a professor, preacher. Look at this. And he has two ideas in structure, right? It's a one is a trust God and it's a good and faithful shepherd. So 3 points is here. Protect for you, provide for you, and guide you, and protect you. That's his thing. And then the second part is what? Rejoice in God's grace. And then, you don't have to worry about and relax and enjoy in life in God. Because he spares no blessing, right? And because he results in constant fellowship with him. That is God's grace. He's kind of analysis, right? So kind of divided two, but there is a sub title sub the so this is theme is, but there is a sub theme is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, like this. What about this one? Commentaries. I look up the two commentaries, and then NIV Application Bibles based on this one, and another one is World Biblical Commentaries. This one, I look up this one, and then there is 3 ones. The NIV Application Commentary, they kind of find the structure is by the subject. Just what is kind of the he is 1 through 3 is kind of your subject is he, and goes to what, and change it to you, and kind of he, the Lord, and that's why it's kind of a sandwich structure by subject. It's really kind of personalized. Usually some use for their worship and ritual, all kind of stuff, and then but it should really make it personalized here. That's the kind of structure, and by subject. And so World Biblical Commentary, and then they said, spelling is long. There is a Lord is a shepherd, 1 through 4, and then he's going to protect, provide, and then what? The Lord is a host, not host. Sorry, host. So mean that it's not just a personal level. Look at you prepare a table before me. It's kind of a host, right? God is kind of waiting for us, and shepherd is kind of guiding, and okay, I'm gonna make a whole display for you, and then you come and enjoy like this. It's a different way, So you can see a lot of try to understand in different structure, and depends on how you observe it. But just think about how depends on the structure. Maybe you understand it's a little bit different. But what is the core idea of a whole psalm? No, this is Psalm 1, right? Usually so scholarship agree with what's security, protection, and provision, right? And that is kind of main things around there. But it depends on how you it depends on how you analyze the structure. What's going to be primary and what's going to be secondary. Sometimes the chiastic structure, and then for his glory. It's kind of with a lot of people there. What is the primary purpose is kind of with security and the provision, but he said for his name. But a little bit different, right? So when you analyze, there's no wrong and right, but that's why we need to look up the other commentaries, other scholars, work, and then what it's about, how they understand this one, and how others understand that one, and how I understand this one based on my study. And then you could see, check the comment and take the accountability to not to be wild. So sometimes the depends. Yeah, I stopped saying it depends on how you analyze the structure, and then your emphasis is gonna be a little bit different, right? Emphasis, yeah. But our work is what to understand what the original meaning, the kind of message that the psalm is what the author tried to deliver, right? That is our goal. So what is the word you need to study? Maybe shepherd. What does a shepherd mean? I never have a kind of image when I grew in Korea, because I never seen the sheep, actual sheep, right? I saw in picture, but I never seen real. But shepherd is kind of at that time in Near Eastern kind of a culture, and when they describe the king as a kind of a shepherd who protect his people, it means that can you kind of understand it though? The author kind of described the Lord is what? King. In his mind, oh, he's like a king who protects his people. What about the righteousness? What about the goodness and mercy? And you can go to Bible hubs, or you can type in and maybe concordance and Strongs and other, and then you could see that one. Yeah. And what about there is a metaphor is there, right? Can you see the metaphor? Yeah, the Lord is my shepherd. Kind of the Lord is projected to the metaphor is a kind of shepherd, right? Because at that time it's kind of it's common, right? But just think about it. The Lord is a shepherd. Sometimes it doesn't match. So the shepherd is kind of like who care of the what? Sheep. Yeah, in the field, right? But another meaning is the what? It's like a king. It's totally different images. So that's why. But both the Lord is kind of taking care of his people and taking care of his sheep. But status is different, right? The king and shepherd is kind of a different status. Yeah, parallelism, and then I think it's Psalm 23. There is any parallelism? Any compare? I cannot see that one, right? I cannot see that one like chapter, Psalm 1. So see that there is if there is a parallelism, and what about keyword? In Psalm 20, keyword. Definitely as a shepherd, right? The Lord is a shepherd. What about shepherd is a characteristic? Connected is kind of goodness, right? Mercy, righteous. What about just think about the focus on should now want to make lie down and lead and restore and that one is kind of in this part of the basic keyword, and then it's kind of protection is here, right, with me. and prepare, anointing, or just to try to what is the key word here? May definitely shepherd, and then goodness, mercy, and yeah, it is relate to the kind of pastures and imagery. But when you study the psalm, and you gotta know the what is the background of the story. I look up at the background of the story, but it's hard to find, and most scholars say that it's hard to understand. But the sequence of the psalm in 22, 23, 24 is David's psalm, and then when he was the scholar kind of guess that the Psalm 23 is like when he fled from his son Absalom, who kind of rebelled against David, and then he kind of fled, and then he moved in here there, and he was really he had a really hard time in the time, and that's why he wrote the song. Yeah, 23, 22, and 23 is like that period of time, but 23 people said kind of no clue. The scholars said no clue, but a lot of people understand it kind of in connection 22, 23, and 24. So maybe, yeah, it's understandable if we like the same background, and then he, by his son, oldest son, and then he, rebelled against his dad, and then he has his own kingdom, and kind of David, he kind of fled from his son, and then he's kind of wandered around, and that is one of hard time for David. So possible there is a possible background understanding. So maybe it is right. You can go back to history and David's story, and then you can read the kind of part in Absalom against David, and then you can Google it, and yeah, and then read the whole situation, and then you can kind of feel how David felt, and then even though the story is not that detailed, he got humiliated by others, and kind of betrayed others, and then kind of cursed others, and then it is not easy, but some of them kind of treat them well. All kind of situation is different, but yeah, and kind of when you are in hard time, and then just think about that time, and God is my security, my protection. Even though I fled because of this, and even though I'm in really hard situation, difficult situation, and but God's going to provide. And later on, 24 is kind of he gives the kind of triumph song, you know, how God is wonderful and like this. And so a lot of try to understand the background when you read the kind of poetry. It's really based on the even though it's not detailed, but still give you some idea, and you can feel it. So I know it's a pandemic; it's really hard for us, and then I hope God is your shepherd. God, God is your shepherd and protect you guys from the all wicked and then pandemic viruses and hardship, and then provide what you need, especially you are from away, you are away from home, and so God encourages you and comforts you and strengthens you throughout the week. So we go over how to study about narrative and as a poetry. It's kind of basic introduction, so I give you just the idea about how you approach the study. So maybe next week we're gonna study about the figurative speech and parable and parable like kind of stuff, and then we can study together like today, and then yeah. Uh, if you have any questions, and then just let me know, and yeah, I will try to help you. Not just related to the study and other stuff too, but yeah, if I can do, yeah, I will help you. But if I can't, so I cannot do it. Anyway, yeah, I hope you get some idea about how to understand the narrative and yeah, poetry. So take care and stay healthy, and yeah, have a really, really blessed week. Okay, bye.